The private dining room at Stonehaven Country Club overlooked the meticulously maintained golf course as 35 members of the Anderson family gathered to celebrate Dad's 60th birthday. The evening light filtered through floor-to-ceiling windows, casting a golden glow over the mahogany tables adorned with white lilies and silver candles. This was where 4 generations of Andersons had celebrated milestones, conducting business deals over dinner and maintaining the social connections that kept our family at the center of the city's power structure. I sat at the corner table between Cousin Mark and Uncle Paul, strategically positioned where I could observe the festivities without becoming the focus of attention. For the past 9 years, I had perfected the art of blending into the background at Anderson family events. While my siblings commanded the room with stories of their latest professional triumphs, I remained the family puzzle piece that never quite seemed to fit the established pattern. "Friends and family," my sister Jennifer announced from her position at the head table, her voice carrying across the dining room with the authority of someone born to lead. At 33, Jennifer embodied everything the Anderson family valued: Stanford MBA, senior vice president at the region's largest investment bank, married to a pharmaceutical executive, mother to 2 children who already showed signs of following the family tradition of academic and professional excellence. Tonight we celebrate not just 60 years of Dad's remarkable life, but 4 decades of building Anderson Financial Group into a powerhouse that manages over $3 billion in client assets, Jennifer continued, raising her crystal wine glass toward our father. Dad transformed a small accounting practice into a diversified financial empire that serves Fortune 500 companies, manages pension funds for major corporations, and provides wealth management for the region's most successful families. The assembled guests applauded enthusiastically. Dad looked distinguished in his navy blue suit, his silver hair perfectly styled, every inch the successful patriarch who had built something lasting through decades of strategic thinking and client relationships. Mom sat beside him in her elegant dress, radiating the confidence that came from 40 years of supporting her husband's empire while building her own successful real estate practice. "Our family has always understood that true success comes through proven strategies." Jennifer gestured toward the gathered relatives and family friends. "Conservative investments, long-term client relationships, building trust through consistent results and traditional values. These principles have sustained Anderson Financial Group through market volatility, economic downturns and industry changes." I felt the familiar tightening in my chest as several family members glanced in my direction. The setup was becoming obvious, and I knew exactly where this birthday celebration was heading. "Most of our family has embraced these time-tested approaches brilliantly," Jennifer continued. "My brother David just completed the largest municipal bond deal in the firm's history. Cousin Sarah's law practice represents 6 Fortune 500 companies. Cousin Michael's insurance agency wrote over $200 million in policies last year." The applause grew more pointed and I could feel the weight of family expectations beginning to focus on me. At 30 I was the Anderson family's great enigma. The daughter who had rejected multiple offers to join Anderson Financial Group, who had turned down prestigious positions at established firms, and who had chosen to pursue what my family diplomatically called her tech startup phase. For 9 years, I had maintained an elaborate performance. I lived in a converted loft in the emerging technology district, drove a modest Tesla Model 3, and wore business casual clothes from mid-range retailers rather than the designer suits that marked Anderson family success. When relatives asked about work, I spoke vaguely about technology consulting and helping companies with digital transformation. They assumed I was struggling to build a small consulting practice that would eventually fail, forcing me to accept the safety of traditional employment. The reality was dramatically different. I was the founder and CEO of Horizon Enterprises, a technology acquisition and development firm that had quietly become one of the most influential forces in the industry. We weren't just consultants. We were the strategic architects behind digital transformations at major corporations, the acquirers of innovative startups that we scaled into industry leaders, and the creators of technological solutions that were reshaping entire sectors of the economy. But tonight, like every family gathering for the past 9 years, I was just Rebecca the disappointment. "However," Jennifer's tone shifted, becoming more serious, "there's something we need to discuss as a family tonight." The conversations around the dining room began to quiet as Jennifer's speech took on the gravity of a boardroom presentation. I could feel 35 pairs of eyes beginning to turn toward my section of the room. We have a family member who has chosen to reject the proven strategies that built our success, Jennifer continued, her voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to addressing corporate boards. Someone who has spent 9 years pursuing what can only be described as an extended experiment in technological entrepreneurship. My stomach dropped. Jennifer was about to turn Dad's birthday celebration into a public intervention about my career choices. Rebecca Anderson, Jennifer gestured in my direction, causing heads to turn throughout the dining room, had every advantage this family could provide. Finance degree from Wharton, management consulting experience at McKinsey, guaranteed partnership track at Anderson Financial Group, and access to every major business leader in our network. I maintained my practiced composure while internally reviewing the quarterly performance metrics of my various acquisition targets. It had become my meditation technique for surviving these family assessments without revealing the true scope of my business empire. Instead, Jennifer's voice grew more pointed. She chose to abandon proven career paths to pursue what she calls technology consulting. Working out of some converted warehouse space, helping small companies with computer problems, generating uncertain income while rejecting the security and prestige of established business relationships. Several family members nodded in agreement. Aunt Linda whispered something to her husband that made him shake his head sympathetically. Uncle Robert raised his wine glass as if acknowledging the sad truth of Jennifer's assessment. The most frustrating part, Jennifer continued, clearly building toward a crescendo, is Rebecca's insistence on pretending that her small consulting practice is somehow equivalent to real business achievement. She acts as if helping local companies upgrade their websites is the same as managing billion-dollar investment portfolios. The dining room was becoming increasingly focused on Jennifer's assessment, and I could see that she was preparing to deliver something even more devastating. Still pretending to be important? Jennifer laughed cruelly, her voice carrying across the entire dining room. You're 30 years old, Rebecca. 30. Most people your age in successful families like ours are establishing themselves in serious careers, building real wealth, contributing to established institutions. The entire family joined in the mockery. Cousin David chuckled and shook his head. Aunt Patricia made a comment to the person sitting next to her that caused several people to laugh. Uncle Paul raised his wine glass as if toasting Jennifer's assessment. Even some of Dad's business associates were smiling at Jennifer's public takedown of my pretensions. Instead, Jennifer continued, you're still playing around with computers in some loft apartment, pretending that fixing small business technology problems is somehow equivalent to the real business achievements that built this family's success. That's exactly when the large television screen in the corner of the dining room switched to breaking financial news. The CNBC logo flashed across the screen, followed by the urgent breaking news banner that always preceded major market-moving announcements. The anchor's voice cut through the dining room's laughter with the authority of someone delivering information that would affect billions of dollars in market capitalization. Good evening, I'm David Chin with breaking news from Wall Street. In one of the largest technology acquisitions of the year, Horizon Enterprises has completed its purchase of data flow systems for $2.9 billion in cash and stock. The dining room went dead silent. Jennifer's wine glass froze halfway to her lips, her cruel laughter dying instantly. Every head in the room turned toward the television screen as the anchor continued with details that would transform everything my family thought they knew about my life. The acquisition represents Horizon Enterprises' largest deal to date and solidifies the company's position as one of the most aggressive technology acquirers in the industry, the anchor explained. Data flow systems' cloud computing infrastructure will be integrated with Horizon's existing portfolio of artificial intelligence and data analytics companies. I watched as my family's expressions changed from amusement to confusion to dawning shock. The television screen displayed the Horizon Enterprises logo, a stylized H with a rising sun design that I had personally approved 3 years earlier. Horizon Enterprises, founded by CEO Rebecca Anderson, has completed over 40 acquisitions in the past 5 years, building a technology empire valued at approximately $8.7 billion, the anchor continued. Anderson, who has maintained an unusually low public profile despite her company's remarkable success, is now considered one of the most influential figures in the technology acquisition space. The silence in the dining room was so complete that you could hear the grandfather clock ticking in the corner. 35 family members and guests were staring at the television screen, then at me, then back at the screen, trying to process this impossible revelation. The data flow acquisition brings Horizon Enterprises' portfolio to 63 companies across artificial intelligence, cloud computing, cybersecurity, and advanced manufacturing technologies, the news report continued. Industry analysts estimate that Anderson's personal stake in Horizon Enterprises is worth approximately $3.2 billion. Jennifer finally found her voice, though it came out as barely a whisper. Rebecca, is that your company on television? I looked around the dining room at my family. The same people who had spent the past 9 years assuming I was struggling to build a small consulting practice, who had just publicly mocked my pretensions to importance. The same people who were now staring at me with expressions of complete bewilderment. Yes, I said calmly. That's my company. The television news segment continued with analysis from financial experts discussing the significance of the acquisition, comparisons to other major technology deals, and speculation about Horizon Enterprises' future growth strategy. Charts showed our stock price climbing throughout the day's trading. Dad was the first to speak, his voice barely audible. Rebecca, I don't understand. How is this possible? Horizon Enterprises specializes in identifying emerging technology companies and helping them scale to serve enterprise clients. I explained matter-of-factly. We acquire innovative startups, provide them with resources and strategic direction, and integrate their technologies into comprehensive solutions for Fortune 500 companies. Uncle Robert leaned forward, his face pale. The news said 63 companies. We've been particularly active in artificial intelligence and cloud computing sectors, I confirmed. Our portfolio includes companies that provide cybersecurity for major banks, AI systems that optimize manufacturing efficiency, and cloud platforms that serve millions of users globally. The revelation was creating waves of shocked whispers throughout the dining room. Family members were pulling out their phones, clearly searching for information about Horizon Enterprises and discovering that everything the news report had said was verifiably true. There's something else you should know, I continued, looking directly at Jennifer. Horizon Enterprises has been the technology partner behind several Anderson Financial Group initiatives over the past 6 years. Dad's face went ashen. What do you mean? When Anderson Financial Group needed to modernize your client management systems, who do you think designed that technology? When you required advanced analytics for portfolio optimization, who developed those algorithms? When your competitors were gaining market share through superior digital platforms, who created the technological solutions that helped you maintain your competitive edge? Jennifer was staring at me with growing shock. The Morrison Technology Solutions contracts were handled by one of our subsidiary companies, I confirmed. We've been helping Anderson Financial Group stay competitive in an increasingly digital marketplace. Your client portals, your automated trading systems, your risk assessment algorithms, all developed by companies in the Horizon Enterprises portfolio. The weight of these revelations was settling over the family like a heavy blanket. People who had spent 9 years assuming I was playing at business were discovering that I had been supporting their success while building a technology empire. But why didn't you tell us? Mom asked, her voice trembling with emotion. Why let us worry about your future? Why let us think you were struggling? I looked around the dining room at the family members who had just finished mocking my pretensions to importance. Because every time I tried to explain technology acquisition strategies or digital transformation, you dismissed it as playing with computers or helping small businesses. You had already decided that success only looked one way, your way. Jennifer was still staring at the television screen, where the news segment had moved on to interviews with industry analysts discussing Horizon Enterprises' impact on the technology sector. Rebecca, the news said you're worth over $3 billion. The acquisition values my stake at approximately $3.2 billion, I replied. But I'm more interested in building technologies that solve real problems for real companies than in personal wealth accumulation. I gathered my purse and prepared to leave this family celebration that had become something entirely different. Tomorrow, I have integration meetings with the data flow team, due diligence reviews for 3 potential acquisitions, and strategy sessions with portfolio companies that are reshaping entire industries. As I walked toward the dining room exit, Dad called out one final question. Rebecca, what happens now? I turned back with a genuine but measured smile. Now you know the truth. Anderson Financial Group will continue receiving technology support from our portfolio companies, and Horizon Enterprises will keep building the digital infrastructure that powers modern business. But I think we all understand that the family assumptions about success need some updating. Walking through Stonehaven Country Club toward my car, I felt 9 years of pretending lift from my shoulders. Tomorrow I would continue building technologies that transformed how businesses operated in the digital age, while running an acquisition empire that proved innovation and strategic thinking weren't mutually exclusive. Some pretending, it turns out, is just strategic positioning that nobody bothered to investigate.